Hello, friends. Have you ever gazed up into the night sky and wondered at the possibility of life on other planets? What marvelous beings might exist out there, hands extended in friendship, awaiting the moment when we humans take our first tentative steps into space? What tales will be told of that glorious day when we are first contacted by our brothers from beyond the stars?
It's 2020, so why don't we play Destroy All Humans? Isn't that something that we've been talking about? Everybody? On the tip of everybody's tongue? You know what we need is Destroy All Humans on current generation consoles. That's what the folks at THQ Nordic seem to think everyone wanted. And they decided to remaster Destroy All Humans. It's one of the 10 billion things they acquired along the way on their rise to just this huge company of all of these IPs that I don't think they really know fully what they're going to do with them. But a lot of them they're remastering. And before this, they did the SpongeBob game, Escape Battle for Bikini Bottom, which still kind of holds up as a platformer today, but Destroy All Humans, it doesn't really hold up in the gameplay department. Leigh, you've played a lot more of this than I have. Why don't you kind of give us a rundown of it and what you think, and I'll chime in here and there with my amazing opinion.
Well, I played. Obviously, I played all of the originals as well, so I know where I'm coming from. I do know the series pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
It was a live fast and burn out quick series. They was done almost as quickly as they started.
Mm-hmm.
3.5 games, and they burned out. It's kind of, I would describe these as Mars Attacks the game. So you come down to you've been to the planet before, and you come down to harvest brains and DNA to take back to your planet to conquer the world. A very Invader Zim type thing. The voice actor actually is the guy from Invader Zim.
Oh, he is?
Fact. Yeah.
It's definitely going for leaning into the humor side of this. Isn't like a serious invasion alien. This isn't like War of the Worlds. This is like you said, Mars Attacks. So they're jokes. They make fun of Southern people a lot.
Yeah. The Red Fear and all that sort of stuff. Those 50s.
Right.
Folks.
Yeah.
Commies are coming. It's all nonsense. It's if there's one thing that's held up fairly well, it's the dated comedy. If that as faint praise as that seems.
Yeah.
It was funny then, and although it's still cow shitting and anal probe humor, but it's still kind of funny. It's still kind of performed quite well, voice acted quite well.
Yeah, the thing. Well, the voice acting I think is kind of hit or miss in terms of like actual recording quality.
That's taken straight from the old one. That's the one thing that has literally been dragged from the album. Everything else is remade.
The delivery is pretty good though, like the timing on the jokes and stuff like that. I think for the most part is pretty good. Like the FBI agents or whatever, they're pretty good. Their jokes and their timing and stuff like that. I don't think like the actual content of the jokes are always all that great, but I did enjoy that. And I also think, while we're talking about good things, I think the remaster job they did on this is really good. I think it looks fantastic. Like for this to be a 15-year-old game, I think the quality of the animations are still the same, but they up-res the model qualities and the terrain and the lighting and all sorts of certain assets and stuff like that. So I think that looks pretty good, matched with the kind of cartoony art style that it originally had. does a pretty good job of in terms of presentation. So like the presentation, I guess, and the attitude is kind of okay, but man, the things you actually do in this game are extremely 2015 or extremely 2005.
And here's the thing, right? So when it came out, it was like, this is a great fun blast. By the time the third one came out, when it was, and I mean, that was 2000. That was still nearly over 10 years ago. Everybody moved on from it, and nobody was interested. It was aging out at the time this came out. The mission structures of the way you do stuff and the mechanics within the game systems and stuff like that. It was already aging out.
Oh yeah,
like
definitely.
shooting mechanics and the kind of, it's not really a sandbox, but they're trying to tell you it's a sandbox type stuff, and
Right.
the way the AI reacts to you, and
This is a big open area. You can do whatever you want, unless you do exactly what we tell you to do in the right order that we tell you that we think you're supposed to do it in. But we're not really going to tell you that. We're just going to kind of pretend that you can do whatever you want, but you'll just have to repeat the mission over and over again because you keep screwing up.
Yeah, there's kind of a quality of life improvements in this. That from the first. Did you ever play the first three?
If I did, it would have been very, very little.
So there's stuff that they had, like, it was quite slow to plod around. So in this one, you've got a fast scoop. You get on like your hoverball type thing and scoot around, which wasn't there before.
Oh, okay.
And they've altered the flying saucer stuff. So now got like a downward blast, and you've got one like a great kind of pulse thing that blows everything up, blows like a whole district up. I love that stuff, by the way. In the originals, when you used to shoot stuff, which kind of didn't look great then, the things you should sink into the ground, the buildings, when you shot them.
Oh,
now
okay.
you've got these great physics things where the roof kind of comes off in fragments and stuff. And it looks really cool. I like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the saucer parts are, like I said, the game looks good, and the saucer parts are probably the spots where it looks the best, with like the laser beam and then like you said, the buildings just getting torn apart. It just looks really cool.
But within that, you're still doing the same kind of really archaic mission structures. Kind of, it's the same way as you would look back, and if they was to literally bring, because there are elements of this where you play almost like Hitman. You stalk the guy, you take the guy out, you take his identity, and then you go and get the other guy. And it's almost like if you took Hitman 2, Silent Assassin, and literally transported it into 20 and don't change the game engine. Don't change the systems. And it would probably be horrible. But I'm sure you loved it in 2001. And this is the same sort of thing. It's like you can tart it up and you can add new moves and new guns and stuff like that. But if the mission structure is that linear and kind of creaky, and even simple things where you realise that things have advanced a lot, or things did advance a lot even then. If you look at something maybe like a Saints Row, which was a few years later, and this, when they dump you into a thing, it's like, right, survive the horde, they're going to go and blow this thing up. And when it does it in this game, it's horrible. It's really, really, it doesn't really hold up. The shooting mechanics don't really hold up. Considering it's actually not a remaster, it's a remake. They've literally done, apart from the voice acting, everything else is new in this.
Oh, really?
It's actually new engine, new everything. Kind of the Unreal 4, they plonked it in and they just did everything from the ground up. Most noticeably in like the cutscenes and stuff like that, which are now CG. But yeah, everything's been redone from the beginning. But it just doesn't stand up. It's fun in very, very short doses until you're like, I should be able to do this better now.
Yeah.
This reminds me in a weird way like when Medieval came out.
Yeah.
And it looked so much better, but you must have learned not to use those sort of camera systems in a platforming game that doesn't give you 3D. So, yeah, this does butt heads with itself a lot in a way it shouldn't, considering it's been rebuilt.
Yeah, that was I played a little bit of it, and that was my big turnoff. Was like, it just wasn't fun to do these things, and the way that the game kind of expected you to do them wasn't fun either. Like, it like we were saying, it pretends to be like an open sandbox game, but it really isn't. It expects you to perform the actions in a very specific way, and there isn't a whole lot of experimentation that you can do, and a lot of it just ends up, it concludes. A lot of the missions seem to kind of wrap up the same way. Like a lot of them is, you do this and then get in your spaceship and blow everything up, or or get this get this one person, like this particular person, you need to take over their identity or something like that. Yeah, it just and like the motivation for doing certain things, like collecting the brains to upgrade your equipment. I'm looking at the equipment upgrades and I'm like, none of this really seems like it's going to be that big of a deal. Like it's mostly just like your laser beam recharges a little bit faster, and that's 1,000 points that takes a long time to acquire and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of what I was expecting, but at the same time, if they're going to put in that much effort to remake it, it's too bad they didn't kind of refine some of the stuff that probably needed the most refining.
Yeah, and structurally, it gives you like gameplay in 20-minute bursts, 20-minute sections.
Yeah, the levels
which
are
is
really
kind
short.
Of frustrating, but it doesn't give it room to breathe. But then you don't really want it to breathe because it's frustrating within its. But you still would like it to do so, because I'm getting into the swing of this, and now it's finished, and I've got to get into the spaceship again to yeet off somewhere. So yeah, it's a very stop-start experience.
Yeah,
which is very emblematic of the way they did these sort of games back towards the end of the PS2 era. So,
yeah, it's like almost they're like they're still kind of stuck in like a level-based format, but they're trying to make everything feel a little bit more cohesive.
Yeah. But that's where we are.
We'll see what they do with it. If this is a jumping off point for a new one, or if this is going to be all the destroy all humans we see. I don't know.
Let's see what THQ Nordic exhumes next.
Yeah. But yeah, that's on PC, Xbox, PlayStation. I don't think that one came to Switch.
No, I don't think so, actually. Not yet.
Not yet. It might.
I wouldn't expect them to give up that Switch money.
No.
Because it's THQ Nordic.
Right. It'll probably come there eventually. All right, Destroy All Humans. 15 years old still. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to see more. Check out voxelvoice.com for all of our great content, and consider supporting us on Patreon to keep our content ad-free and independent.